So slight change of plans. Instead of just going through here and just fiddling around, replacing cables here and there and whatever, I need us to go ahead and take care of the whole front forks, top to bottom, everything. And I was gonna get it jacked up with my motorcycle jack and try to get it balanced on there so I could get the front wheel off and have better access to the forks and everything, but you know, my motorcycle jack broke. It got like 2 pumps and it just quit. So I'm just gonna have to work around that, but I think it makes more sense to get all this, you know, torn down, everything restored that's gonna be restored, and then just put it all back together completely fixed up and with new parts. That seems to be the logical thing to do, so that's what we're gonna do. Well, that took little to no effort. Let's hope the other one is as agreeable as its brother. Well, sometimes you just get lucky. So now I probably just need to cut these old grips off because I don't think there's any chance they're just gonna come off on their own. They're rock hard and like 1,000 years old. Now it's the delicate procedure of trying to do this without a trip to the emergency room. All right, cool. All right. So my next step is actually going to be to get the bars loose off of here, because I've got to fish the wiring out of the bars, get it all unhooked, so that way I can pull it out. And then I'm faced with the task of either drilling holes in the new bars to route the wires through them, which would be an extreme pain in the butt to try to drill into this stuff, especially with just having a drill press, no milling machine or anything like that, or just modifying the control boxes here and making notches so the wires can come out and go along it. But I guess I'll just cross that bridge when I come to it. So the first thing I need to actually do to deal with these handlebars is actually just go ahead and get them completely off. And to do that, I'm gonna have to unhook the cables that run through the handlebars that go up to the controls on the right and left side. And if I'm not mistaken, those are actually connected in the wiring harness behind the headlight. So I just need to get this headlight out of there so I can gain access to those wires. This is an absolute just spaghetti mess, teetotal nightmare inside of there. Nowadays, this would all just be one big plug and you'd unplug it and that'd be the end of it. But not in the 60s and 70s, apparently. All right, and that should be, both sides are now free. Now I can get the bars off of here. And I do actually plan on replacing all of these hydraulic brake lines. I'm not going to trust my life to 50-year-old beat up stuff. really not coming up with any other way to get these out other than to drill them out and then just replace them. But don't know what else to do because they're already starting to get stripped. I can't get them to budge at all, and they're too small for my impact screwdriver, so I don't really see any other option. All right, I got that one drilled out, and before I drill this one out, I'm gonna get this brake lever off of there and see if I actually have room to get a pair of vice grips on this back one right here and see if I can get it backed out of there, because it would be nice to have one that was intact to actually, you know, match, you know, go to the hardware store and find something that's the same size. Well, I thought I was recording, but apparently I wasn't. I got the throttle off of here. I was able to back that second screw out just with some vice grips. So I was able to preserve it to use it to go by when I go to buy another one, to have to replace the one that I drilled out. So now I need to get these cables out of the handlebars. I think I might need to just load this thing up with some lube. There we go. Progress. Come on. Just doesn't want to come. Come on. Ah. Victory. And I went ahead and got the other side out as well, and it was totally uneventful. Took about 10 seconds on that side. But the bars are now completely bare. Time to start cleaning up, restoring, and putting back together with brand new stuff. All right, and I'm just gonna let these hang for right now. Now I gotta figure out a way to get this thing propped up so I can take the front wheel off of it. I have a motorcycle jack, but it decided to stop working, so I gotta figure something else out. So I popped the rear wheel back on it, just kind of loose and really sketchy like, so that way I can see about jacking it up in the front, and that way it'll be supported in 3 points from the center stand and the rear wheel, and hopefully that'll work. Well, that worked. I got the jack there in the front, jacked it up until the rear wheel was touching, and that got the front wheel off the ground. Now that the top and bottom bolts are loosened up on the triple tree clamps that hold the forks, you basically have to just take something. Sometimes they'll just slide right out if your bike is in better shape than this, but this you can't even turn them because it's so rusty in there. So you pretty much just got to beat on them. Wondering if I have any of my lube laying around somewhere I could spray down in there. Yep. So we'll hit it with some lube. With any luck, that'll drain down in the cracks a little bit. Need something to stick down in there. Not ideal, but I'll see what I can do with this big extension. And this is why they're so hard to get out. You have all this rust and corrosion that it has to go past to get them to slide out of there. So that's going to be gotten rid of before they go back in, because by then they should just slide right in. I'm going to pull all these bolts out, the upper and lower, because I am going to get those cleaned up, because they are pretty corroded. That looks a whole lot better, I'd say. I'm going to use a wire wheel and the drill to try to clean this old paint off of here. All right, now I got all of this painted. Sorry I didn't film it, but I can describe it to you. It looked exactly like me spray painting something. You didn't really miss much. I covered up the original sticker here just because it was in decent shape, and I figured why not keep it. But next on the agenda is to take the Dremel tool and go ahead and clean up the inside of all of these. Get them free of the paint and nice and smooth so the forks go back in a lot easier than they came out. So I put on one of the front forks and put my gator on here just to see how that would work, and it seems like it'll work fine. And I got my headlight bracket out that I bought just to kind of see how that would fit, and the answer is absolutely terrible. This thing is pretty much junk. First off, it doesn't fit properly, even that piece. There's a huge gap right here, and this chintzy thing doesn't even come close to where it's supposed to be, and this is supposed to fit this size shaft, but it's pretty much garbage. It's a good thing I didn't pay much money for it. It was actually really cheap. So I started looking into the stock pieces that came off of here, which are pretty ugly. Of course, it's got that on there, which is awful. The inside is just super rusty. But I took one just to see what would happen, put it on the wire wheel, hit it a little bit with some steel wool and some polish, and it actually don't look half bad, especially when you get rid of the ugly orange reflector right there. It's still got some rust on the inside here, but I could always paint this black on the inside. And it's got a few little flarbles here and there, but I don't mind a little bit of patina, as I've said before, just so long as the part doesn't look like, you know, total crap, which this I don't think does. So I might just end up using the stock pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the other one just like I did this and see what we end up with, because that's a pretty pretty evident with the before and after. Now I've got the forks on here just to kind of get a visual on how things are looking. Nothing's really tightened down or anything. I literally just threw it together to see how it's going to look. And I actually don't mind these stock brackets for the headlight. They cleaned up pretty decent. They still have quite a bit of patina, but I'm cool with that. I think I'm going to run with them. Got the insides painted black here where it was all rusted out. And this is where I got rid of the stock reflectors that were there, but I don't want to just leave a hole. So I made some little plugs on the 3D printer that should fit right down in there. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. Oh, just kidding. Yeah, that'll screw right down in there and plug up the hole. So next on my agenda, since I have this together, the speedometer and tach they set a little higher than I would want, especially with the low slung handlebars that I'm going to have on here. So I'm going to devise a way to get them kind of tucked in a little more. And the idea, they did mount from the top like this. I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to flip it around, get rid of the bolts that are pre-attached in there, see if I can get those out and try to get this to where it mounts from underneath instead of above. So that'll lower the whole works down about ½ an inch or so, but I can always use some washers or something, some spacers to get it down like another quarter to lower the whole thing to get it tucked in about like that, as opposed to up here somewhere. I think that will look better. Now all I got to do is make it happen. Instead of getting rid of these studs that are in here, I wonder if I could just flip it upside down and put it in from the bottom. All I'd have to do is get rid of these little tabs right here that stick off of it. But I think that sounds like a better prospect than the original idea. Just instead of it going in like that, have it go in like that. All right, let's see how this works going in upside down. And that'll fit right there. I think I might end up putting some spacers under this just to lower the gauges a little more. I got the spacer in there to lower it a little more, threw the gauges on just to see what they're going to look like, and I'm very happy with it. They're not sticking up like a sore thumb as much like they were. They're kind of tucked down in a little more. I think it's going to look awesome. So now I just got to clean up the gauges. So far, everything I've painted black has been with a semi-gloss black. So for these gauge bezels, or bodies rather, I'm going to switch the flavor up a little bit and go with gloss black. And hopefully it turns out okay, because trying to clean off fresh gloss paint is not something I really want to do. The gauges are painted and dry, and I went ahead and just popped them back on the bike to see what they were going to look like, and I think they turned out pretty good. So I think I'm ready to go ahead and take these forks back out, tidy up a few things. They don't have any of the bushings that go up top. I didn't put them in just yet, so they're just kind of floating around there. I just wanted to see how everything was going to look. But now I'm going to pull these back out and start putting everything back together with some permanency. And I got everything I need for the front brakes in the mail, so I'm going to be going ahead and installing all of that, because I have everything I need to either rebuild or replace everything from the brake master cylinder all the way down to the caliper and pads. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you already haven't, and hit the notification bell so you'll know when the next part of the series comes out. And until next time, see ya.